Charles Ludwig Dodgson, better known by his pen name Lewis Carroll, was an English writer of world-famous children's fiction, notably Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and its sequel Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There. He was born in 1832 in a family of High Church Anglicans and attended the Christ Church College in Oxford, where he lived for most of his life. Alice Liddell, daughter of the Dean of Christ Church, is widely identified as the original Alice of the book, although Carroll always denied this. In 1920, Walt Disney, inspired by Carroll's book, produced the Alice Comedies, that deals with the adventures of a real girl named Alice who walked around in a drawn world. After the great success obtained, he decided that he was going to make a movie based on Lewis Carroll's story, but with the very first script he was not so satisfied. It was then rewritten to focus on comedy, music, and its particular whimsical side. The story begins in a summer day in a park in England, where Alice is bored by a book that her sister is reading aloud, so she decided to wandering off. Alice lays down on a riverbank wishing that she had a world of her own, when suddenly sees a white rabbit wearing a red waistcoat and carrying a large golden pocket watch. He exclaims how late he is, which sparks Alice's curiosity and causes her to follow him down a rabbit hole. Down there, she meets a talking doorknob, who advises her to shrink to an appropriate height by drinking from a bottle marked "Drink Me" to get through the door. At this point, she alternately shrinks and grows, a recurring theme throughout the story, but in the end, stressed out about the situation, she is finally washed into a keyhole by an ocean made of her own tears. As she continues to follow the rabbit, she meets many characters, including Tweedledum and Tweedledee, two twin brothers who recount her the tale of the walrus and the carpenter. Alice tracks the rabbit to his house, and he sends her to retrieve his clothes after mistaking her for his housemate. While searching for them, she hits another cookie marked "Eat Me" and grows large again. Thinking she is a monster, he brings the dodo over to help him get rid of her. When the dodo decides to burn the house down, Alice escapes by eating a carrot from the rabbit's garden, which causes her to shrink to 3 inches tall. Along the way, she meets a garden of talking flowers, who initially welcome her with a song, but then mistake her for a weed and order her to leave, followed by a caterpillar smoking a hookah, who becomes enraged to Alice for no reason and turns into a butterfly to fly away. Before leaving, he advises her to eat a piece of his mushroom to alter her size. In the woods, Alice meets the Cheshire Cat, who advises her to visit the Mud Hatter or the Marchare to find out where the rabbit is. She finds both, along with the Dormouse, at the hare's house, having a mad tea party and celebrating their birthday. As she is about to leave, the rabbit appears, continuing to exclaim how late he is. The Hatter examines his pocket watch and says it is 2 days long, and attempts to fix it by filling it with food and tea, but ends up having to destroy it after it goes mad. The rabbit laments that it was a birthday present, and the hare and Mad Hatter throw him back to forest. Fed up with the nonsense, Alice decides to go home, but she gets lost. The Cheshire Cat reappears again and advises her to ask the Queen of Hearts for directions home, showing her a shortcut for the King and Queen's castle. When she meets her, the Queen invites, or rather forces her, to play a croquet match, in which flamingos, car guards and hedgehogs are used as equipments and rig the game in favor of the Queen. At this point, the cat appears on the back of the Queen and plays a trick on her, causing her to fall over. The cat disappears in time to make it look Alice was the prankster, but before the Queen can order her execution, the King suggests they could have a trial instead, to determine if she is guilty. At Alice's trial, the Mad Hatter, Marchare and Dormouse are called to the stand as witnesses, but they celebrate the birthday of the Queen and give her a crown as a present, which turns into the cat scaring the Dormouse. As the queen orders Alice's execution, she eats the pieces of the caterpillar's mushroom she saved and grows large again. The king and queen order her to leave the courthouse, but she refuses and insults the queen, making fun of her little size. But as she does so, she slowly returns to her normal size. Alice flees, and the queen and other characters give chase to her until she reaches the small door of the beginning of the movie. The talking doorknob shows her that she is actually outside of the Wonderland and she's asleep. She yells at herself to wake up, and when she does, she realizes that it's actually near her sister and it was just a dream. Disney has made some considerable changes in the animation of Carroll's Tale. In fact, due to running time constraints and continuity demands, he needed to scale the story down a bit. For this, he combined scenes from both Alice's adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass for the storyline. And characters like the Griffin, the Mock Turtle, the Duchess, the Jabberwock, and Humpty Dumpty were left out. The only main character that was made up by Disney was the talking doorknob. One of the biggest changes of the movie is the goal of Alice to find the White Rabbit at first and then to find her way back home. In the book, that's not so important. Alice's sister takes a much more active stance in the novel by encouraging Alice as an adventurous person, whereas in the movie she disapproves of such adventures.